afternoon, 4-H members. This is going to be a quick video on how you can go ahead and start working on your project books for your market animals, or whether you have a dairy heifer, anything like that you're going to need to do a project book on. So first off, this is going to be a quick video. I'm going to move pretty fast, so if you have any questions though, feel free to call us or email us after this video. So to get started, let's figure out where we need to find your project book. We have put this out in our newsletters, but you can always email us if you need to, but here's a simple way you can do it at home. I went to Google, typed in VCE Publications, clicked on this first publications resource that popped up. I'm going to scroll down on this page to Youth Development, click on Animal Sciences. And the first thing you want to do is download this 4-H member record book guide, which I have already done and is right here. It's going to also specifically give you tips, pointers, and help, and tell you exactly which record books we want to use. Pay attention to the publication numbers right here, because there's several different record books listed on this page, but we want to be using the 4-H member record book Novice, Experienced Junior, and Experienced Senior. You're going to have to click on that and download it. And for this example, I went ahead and downloaded an Experienced Senior book and filled in some information along the way to give you an example as we go through this. Now, I must note that you can type in here and add information, but every time you want to click exit out of it, you're going to have to save it. So you can come back to it and continue working, but you're just going to have to resave every time. And normally what I do is just resave it as the same name, so it just replaces the file and is kept up to date. So just a note on that. So let's go back to our guide here. We have picked out our project book here. This is the first page. Something I do want to point out here, sections to include. This is the cover, but also we really highly recommend you put this in a notebook to keep it organized, and put a cover page on the front. It could be this, or it could be something you create with a picture of yourself and your name. Just a way to keep organized for all the books that comes in here to the office and then will be sent out. So make sure it's organized in a folder. It will definitely get you some more points there. So let's go ahead and let's scroll down and start on section 2 here. This is ongoing. So I typed in this project year, for example, John Smith has a steer and a dairy heifer. And I wanted to show you that for next year, all you would do is use this same sheet, type in the new project year, and if he had a steer and a heifer again, this is how you would add this in. So this is really an ongoing project book, and I wanted to show you that. Let's go to section 3 here. This is 4-H participation, activities, and events. So for example, I typed in John Smith, he did Dairy Bowl. He did that at the county level, district, and state. He also did public speaking, which he did within his club and at the county contest, so be a unit. Also participated in a jackpot show, so that was at the state level. And once again, just to show you, next year, this is ongoing, you would type in the new project year and whatever John Smith did that year as well. Moving on to section 4, this is your 4-H awards and recognition. This is any type of contest that you have participated in, and also including the classes that you will participate in at fair. So for example, for this one, John Smith, he did public speaking, county contest, he received a blue ribbon. Also did the Dairy Bowl contest at state, and his team was first. At fair, he had a heavyweight steer, class 3, and he placed 3rd individual. Grand champion dairy heifer, received a purple ribbon for that. Also showmanship classes, was 2nd individual for steer and 1st individual for showing and fitting. So just wanted to give you some examples of your awards and recognition that go in this area. Let's move on to section 5. 4-H leadership, citizenship, and community service. This is where if you were a officer for your 4-H club, you would put this in here. A chicken barbecue that you would have with your club. Or for example, in here, John Smith did trash pickup with Dairy Club. That exhibits citizenship and community service. If you're doing anything where you're making masks for the local community through 4-H, you could put that in here as well. This section is basically any activity you are doing through 4-H that's exhibiting leadership, citizenship, and community service. So 4-H. Scroll on to section 6. This is your non-4-H activities. This is where you would put your FFA related activities that you've participated in, the chapter you're a member of, your church youth group. For example, John Smith up here, he was on the varsity football team. He was a member of the Virginia Holstein Association, his FFA chapter, and youth group. So this is anything that is non-4-H related that you would list here, and you would just simply change the year over here to the left that this was happening. Once again, an ongoing project. You would just keep adding to this each year. Section 7, your 4-H project reflection, or AKA your story. This, you will only need to do one story. However, if you remember, John Smith has a market steer and a dairy heifer. He is going to need to talk about both of those projects in this one story. So he's going to need to cover the knowledge and skills gained for both of those projects within this one story. And we were really looking for some detailed information in these stories. Sometimes we get stories and they're only a short paragraph long. That's not really what we're looking for. Please put the effort in, because we know how much effort you've put into these animals and projects, and explaining what you've learned, what you've done, and so forth. So also, a lot of times it will not fit here on this one page. So if that's the case, still just print this off and put "see attached" so that we know we need to look somewhere else for that project story. Also part of section 7 is your photos. So once again, if it will not fit all in this area, that's fine. Just put "see attached" and we will see where you've listed all your other photos. Please be taking pictures now. Once you've purchased your animals and you're practicing in the yard at home, leading them around, washing them, clipping them, take pictures throughout your entire project and not just during fair. Yes, those fair pictures are important, but there's lots of things that you're doing leading up to that fair week. So go ahead and start snapping those pictures. All right, on to section 8. And this is probably the most asked section, or we get the most questions about this section when members are filling out their books. So section 8, part 1, this is where you're going to do project knowledge, calculations, or records. And then it's also going to have a part 2, and this is where you're going to do profit loss. So you're going to need to do part 1. You're going to need to do 2 different assignments. And then part 2, your profit loss, you're going to need to do this for each project. So I should technically have 4 total assignments. 2 for my market steer and 2 for my dairy heifer. And then I should have 2 of these pages printed off. 1 for the beef and 1 for the dairy. So I'm going to go through this quickly to give you an example. I just picked some examples that you could do. For the market steer, wholesale retail meat cuts. I put here "see additional page," so we knew to look elsewhere for that. Found a good resource online. If you go, this is called "Pin the Meat Cut on the Animal." This is through Purdue Extension. They had a really good resource that you could use for this, or just ask us for help if you need some assistance. But in this publication, they go over all the retail cuts of beef. And then also further down, they have a nice picture here of this beef animal. You could print this page off and then label each section of the cuts, and that would count as one of your assignments. Another assignment that you could do for your market steer is a break-even cost. And if you go back here to your project guide, this is going to help you. We can do that on, let's see here, page 12. I'm going to move kind of fast here. I'll slow down once I get there and show you. There we go. So in this guide, it's also going to give you examples of things that you could do for these different assignments. And this is provided in that guide. Here's how you can do your break-even cost. And please show all your work. And I kind of skipped a step, but if you would go back up here to section 8, it's going to clearly explain how to complete this section. So if you're a novice, here's some examples of things that you could do for your assignments. If you're experienced junior, here's some examples of what you can do. Experienced senior, here's some examples of what you could do under this project knowledge page. So that's where I got some of these ideas for. So I gave you 2 examples for market steer. I'm going to give you 2 examples for dairy heifer. So for the dairy heifer, one of my assignments I'm doing is the project planning worksheet, which is actually included in this project book guide right here. And that is going to be on page 15. So bear with me while I scroll. It is on page 15 of the project guide. So I would print this sheet off and fill it in for my dairy project, and this would count as one assignment in section 8. Once again, like I said, you're going to have to do 2 assignments per species, so I'm going to have to do another assignment for dairy. And something that I did for that was feed records and expenses worksheet. This is included in the guide as well, and that's actually the next page. Here's a feed records and expenses worksheet. You would just print this out, and I could fill this out for my dairy heifer. So I have given you 4 total different examples, 2 for each species is what you're going to need to complete. And I actually really like this feed records and expense worksheet regardless if you include it. It's really going to help you keep track of everything, because if we scroll down to part 2, it's going to ask a lot of those same questions. It's going to be asking your expenses of the animal, feed costs, vet health costs, things that you're going to need to keep track of to complete this profit loss at the end of your project. If you've already purchased your animal, you can put your cost of your animal in here. Obviously your feed costs, health costs, they're ongoing until after this project is complete. And you're still going to have to put in your income that you have received up here. A lot of this information, like I said, it is after the fair. But this page right here, you're going to need 1 for beef and 1 for dairy heifer. You're going to need a page for each project area, so it's going to be repeated twice. Those are just some examples to show you guys of what this looks like. Like I said, make sure that you download this 4-H member record book guide. It's a very good resource to let you know how to guide you through the book, answer questions, or anything else. However, at any time, please feel free to call the Rockingham County Extension Office, and we are more than glad to walk you through this and answer any questions that you may have. So, 4-H members, go ahead and start working on those project books.